Hi, this is Gary Goodwin, founder of The Stuck Creative, and welcome. This is the place to come for tips, tools, and techniques for getting unstuck, keeping moving, and getting your projects done at last. The Stuck Creative might not be able to help you eliminate all your obstacles, everything that keeps you stuck, but it will certainly increase your odds of moving forward faster, and knowing how to get unstuck when you get stuck again. So, thestuckcreative.com. We all have a major problem that's out there, a major obstacle that is right out there all the time, over our shoulder or in front of us, blocking our path. And that is the chaos, the turbulence, the pain of what I call the betwixt and between space. That we're in between what we've been doing, which could be a day job or commuting or being around family, friends, and other responsibilities. We're trying to get between where we've been into our work session. We've set aside some precious time, set aside some precious energy to work, but the gap is just so huge to go from our day job, for instance, into our work session, that we need a tool to smooth things out, to make it possible to get through, get over, get around that obstacle that's there in our path. My definition, again, for this obstacle that we all face is this edginess, or maybe feeling a bit lost. Our mind and our mood and our body are just either too wound up or too wound down, or in too opposition to each other. We can't focus, we can't feel, we can't get excited about what we're trying to do. We've lost track of why we're doing it, or what we're going to do next. This problem, this obstacle is so common. Most people say, hey, it's no big deal. We all face it. But it is dangerous. It will stop us. It will make us feel bad about ourselves because we can't follow through. It's going to keep us from doing even the slightest bit of work unless we sort of push our way through it and be miserable, or if we use this tool plus a few others, which I call part of that switching gears sequence, and again, you'll have to see it at thestuckcreative.com, we can make it more enjoyable, we can make it more certain we can get past this dangerous obstacle, and we can certainly make it smoother for ourselves. These Stuck Creative tools come from a wide variety of sources, including peak performance, sports performance, psychology. This particular tool that we'll be looking at today comes from the field of psychotherapy. It's been around for, 25 years or so. It's used for people who have been through traumas like car accidents, and it's also used with veterans. There, it's used in a very specialized way with a specialist, a therapist, who can help people cool down the hot energy that seems to be trapped in their system from a bad experience. Here, we're going to just use it to take off the edge. We're just going to peel off some of the stress. We're certainly not going to go into therapy or anything close to that, but we're going to use this very powerful tool. Eye movement. It involves moving the eyes very gently, very simply, just for a short period of time, usually back and forth or in a set linear pattern. How it changes the brain, how it works with the brain to tone down the stress levels isn't fully understood. Perhaps it has something to do with the movement of the eyes of back and forth that activates both sides of the brain. Maybe it's something else. Maybe it's how we have learned to use our eyes, that if we alter that, it tells us that things are calm. It's not fully understood, but we can still use it. What's really surprising about this technique is how little time it takes. And again, it can be done anywhere. It's very, very portable. As far as time, I'm talking about not a half an hour, not an hour, not 15 minutes, but we're talking about 2 minutes, maybe 3 minutes. You can do it longer if you want, no harm from that, but 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes is highly effective and will accomplish what we need to do, which is to bring off that edginess. At last, we're to the steps themselves. We're going to use Mona here as our guide. I've used her previously. She's worked out wonderfully when it comes to talking about eyes and eye movements. So here we go. The first part of step 1 is looking off in the distance. If you're inside, your looking off in the distance might be 12 feet away, 10 feet away, 15 feet away. That's your distance. If you're outside, it could be, 50 feet, could be 100 feet. But you're going to see here in a moment, we're going to pick a couple objects as reference points because we're going to be sweeping our eyes between those 2 points. To illustrate what I'm talking about, here's an image of probably a hotel lobby, something like that, from the inside. We could say, okay, we can either find points on the wall that's going to be our 2 reference points, or we'll find objects. Here we just happen to have 3 art objects, and we're going to use 2 of them. We're going to use the object on the left as our left reference point. We're going to use the object on our right as our right reference point, obviously. Step 2 continues this process, this very simple process, with a simple step. Holding your head still, we're going to be looking across. We can start either with the right side and keeping our eyes horizontal and moving them gently over to the object on the left, or we could begin with the left and move our eyes over to the right. We're keeping our eyes moving them horizontally. We're keeping our head still, and it's just a matter of moving our eyes back and forth between those 2 points. Again, if you're outside, you'll be picking something else, but just have a way of sweeping your eyes from one point to another. They can be a little bit below where you normally look. They can be a little bit above. The main thing is keeping them pretty close to being horizontal. Whatever points you pick do not have to be to the extreme left and the extreme right. This whole process has to be gentle. It has to be done without strain, and you just don't need to have sweeping all the way from the left all the way to the right. Let me show you what I'm looking for. So you need some distance on this, but it's not straining your eyes, so it's maybe 75% of your vision sweep, if I can say it that way. So it's a lot to the left, but not maximum. It's a lot to the right, not maximum. So there, I think I've made that point. In step 3, we're going to do everything the same, except we're going to change the angle. We're going to switch from the horizontal to sweeping our eyes in a diagonal manner. So that means we need to find 2 reference points, one to the lower right-hand side and one to the upper left-hand side that we can sweep our eyes. So we need to look at our environment and see what reference points we can come up with. I have conveniently added a wall clock to our previous photo, which gives us that upper left-hand side diagonal point, reference point, to work with. And we can work with the object on the far right that's on the shelf. I have conveniently added a wall clock to our previous photo, which gives us that upper left-hand side diagonal point, reference point, to work with. And we can work with the object on the far right that's on the shelf. And step 4 is moving our eyes between those points and doing the work for about 20 or 30 seconds, whichever is most comfortable with you. But 30 seconds seems to be a good target to shoot for. Not only have you made it through this process, look at the amount of time. 60 seconds. A total of 60 seconds, and you're going to get the impact and the influence of this powerful eye movement technique. 60 seconds. I think if there's a trick to this, it's learning how slow to go. You don't have to go perfectly slow, but it's a matter of most of us jump in with too much speed. We're going flitting between the points, the patterns, too fast. We're not soaking up the experience. We're not experiencing the experience while we're in it. We're not learning from it, and probably not getting the effective changes that we need. There's no rush here. Experiment with that, and the way you know that you'll have the right speed down is nothing in my instructions, but the instructions that you get from your body and your mind, that it will click. You'll know and feel better. You'll get a burst of feeling good when you get the speed right. It's subtle, but I really think it's there if you look for it. So that is your North Star. That is your guide, that feeling within. Well, that's it for today's tool, but as you know and as I know, it's very tough to be a stuck creative. It's hard to find help, it's hard to find one's way, it's hard to get any tips, tools, or techniques. But there is some help over at thestuckcreative.com. You're going to find a growing and emerging library of tips, tools, and techniques that I've discovered, that I'm being taught, that I'm learning as I work with others, and as others teach them to me. Head over to thestuckcreative.com. You're going to find videos and articles, suggested books, and other materials. And all I have to say is, this is Gary Goodwin, founder of The Stuck Creative, and I will see you next time. Thank you.